Now, as he heads south with several pounds of medical marijuana in the back, he makes a last-minute call to his business manager in case there's a bust.
Of course, everybody, if it's the feds, don't need to talk to anybody, and you choose to remain silent. I want to speak to my lawyer, and if it's the locals, then they're our pals and do whatever they ask of us. I'm just going to set the cruise at 65. We'll see if we can pull over. The irony is that most of the cannabis driving down this road is probably going out of state.
On this day, Cohen's making a delivery to one of his customers near Oakland.
Hey, Nate. Hey, how's it going, Nate? I'm Matt.
In the end, it's a fairly routine transaction for Cohen and his staff. The price, the letter from the customer's doctor, it's all been worked out by phone and internet. But it's also been an obstacle course of local, state, and federal laws.
The problem is that the Medical Marijuana Program Act was the result of a committee of a lot of people putting it together, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of internal inconsistency in the Medical Marijuana Program Act, which leaves it open for very wide interpretation.
California's ballot measure to legalize marijuana.
It was with an eye to settling these inconsistencies that pro-pot advocates around the state had made a big push for a new marijuana law last fall.
Make California the first green state. We've got the blue states and the red states.
In Oakland, they gathered on election night to watch the results of the state ballot measure, Proposition 19, that would have fully legalized marijuana use in California.
So, polls closed an hour ago. Prop 19 looks like it's not doing so well.
When the votes were counted statewide, legalization was defeated.
Voted down in California.
When Proposition 19 failed, that clearly put Oakland City Council in a difficult place.
Over at City Hall, they now had a decision to make. It was about whether to push forward with their plan to grow medical marijuana on a massive scale and tax it. Then a letter arrived.
This is a letter written to you,
Yes.
from the U.S. Attorney here in Northern California, warning Oakland about the plans to license large-scale pot cultivation. And what's the essence of the letter?
The essence is, this is clearly illegal. You can't do this. We're concerned that it is contrary to federal law.
The letter from the new U.S. Attorney Melinda Haig drew a hard line at Oakland's industrial growing warehouses, threatening criminal prosecution of city officials if necessary. The city decided to put the pot production plan on hold. Not long after, the We Grow Pot Superstore in Oakland, which had opened with such fanfare just 6 months earlier, closed its doors. The politics of pot are, for now, at a stalemate. But the state's marijuana marketplace, legal and illegal, is still thriving.
See, there's that large patch that's vacant here. That was all weed.
A few hours south of Oakland, among these vegetable fields in the state's Central Valley, drug agents say pot production is now booming, right in plain sight.
Most of it, we were just out there. They're drying some in that white truck right there, and they're processing stuff, but that's pretty much all that's left.
Bill Rusamenti was a special agent with the DEA for 30 years and now runs a federally funded drug task force in California to seek out and seize illegal marijuana and eradicate the grows.
Can you open it up?
Yeah.
Sure. Open that up too if you don't mind. I'm gonna take it out, okay?
Yeah, take it.
Is this shake or is it processed?
This process.
This looks like an open and shut case
Open that up too.
until Rusamenti sees the posted doctor's recommendations.
They're curing and getting this marijuana ready, and there's nothing you guys can do.
No, because it's all being done under the auspices of 215, that it's a medical marijuana grow, and that they have posted permits or posted recommendations from doctors that preclude the sheriff's department and or anybody else from taking it off. The whole concept of medical marijuana is being used as a cover by drug traffickers and drug dealers to sell marijuana outside of the state of California, where they can make more profit.
Earlier in the week, sheriff's deputies were able to seize thousands of pounds of pot from the same area. It would have been worth several $1 million wholesale in California, but the cops allege that the pot was actually going to be driven out of state.
Investigators say the two women never stopped to sleep and drove straight through California, Arizona, New Mexico.
Teaming up with a local
Texas.
news team, the task force tracked another load of the Fresno pot to Dallas, where it was going to be sold for triple the price.
Marijuana is by far the most profitable of all the illegal narcotics. Cocaine, methamphetamine, it blows them away. There's another grow right there.
Former IRS agent Rick Adams spent decades working money laundering cases linked to marijuana grows across California.
Here's one here, here's one here.
He says so many growers have flocked to California that the local market is flooded, so the big profits come from out of state.
You can sell it for so much more per pound in New York City and Virginia than you can here in California. Because of the glut in the market here in California, it just moves. If you can't sell it here, move it over there. There's a grow. There's another one. There's a grow.
We're walking north up East Fork of the Cottonwood Creek in Shasta County.
Back around the Emerald Triangle, national demand for California pot is now attracting a new influx of growers to these forests. They come in from out of state, often from out of the country, and try to turn a fast profit.
There's plots like this all the way up for half a mile. They get them quick, 3 months, turn it around, get another 3 months grow out of it, and that's what we're starting to see more and more.
Even seasoned drug agents have been surprised by the scale of these massive new pot grows.
Our numbers have already skyrocketed. In the last 3 weeks, we've done 140,000 plants.
Last year, they seized 7 million plants, which they say would have been worth some $17 billion. And a lot of this pot is now being grown on public lands, sometimes in national parks, often in fields guarded by men with guns.
I've had people come to me and say, my family has hunted in the Mendocino National Forest for 5 generations. And we don't go there anymore because every time we go there, we hear shots being fired around, or people have literally walked into our hunting camp and said, get out of here.
For Sheriff Allman's men, tensions around the new growers in the forest came to a head last year. Talk of Mexican drug gangs and even the cartels led to more raids and then to several shootings, mostly of Mexican men guarding big grows.
As our SWAT team was clearing through one of the gardens, they came down a real narrow trail in the brush, and it just opened up into a camp with about 7 people in it. One guy stayed. He had an AK-47 type rifle and a handgun, and actually pointed it and tried to get a round off at the SWAT team, and they, of course, engaged and took his life.
We made contact with a man who used to run marijuana grows in California, backed by Mexican money.
Están trabajando en eso.
He's now working closely with law enforcement.
No son de los carteles de México.
He says the Mexican cartels are not directly involved, but former members are helping finance and distribute California pot.
Todos los carteles tienen sus gentes aquí en Estados Unidos. Pero ya estos jardines ya no tienen nada que ver con el cartel, sino que es con una sola persona. Ya son personas que trabajan para el cartel, pero no es del jefe del cartel. Vienen cada temporada y se regresan a México. No están metidos en carteles.
A lot of those people are afraid that they're going to be targets themselves in Mexico, so they figured out that it's easier to come to the U.S. They can grow a lot of marijuana. They know how to smuggle in aliens. They have all those networks already set up.
Tommy Lanier helps coordinate national marijuana strategy with the Office of the White House Drug Czar. He says California's medical marijuana law has encouraged Mexicans fleeing the drug wars to move north.
So for Mexican pot growers, drug traffickers, California is a sort of safe haven.
We have established and probably dismantled well over 100 organizations since 2004. Mexican traffickers that are involved that have connections to Mexico. These people are engaged in making money. They like to exploit the medical individuals that are the 1 or 2%